Hi, Anthony. Eunice was just asked about his recruitment as a dual national, so here's your mandatory question. At this point, how much do the coaches really get involved with the recruitment, aside from getting guys in? And to what extent do you just kind of let the culture of the team speak for itself?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it is a process involving everyone, starting with the coaching staff, identify, all the way down to our youth national team guys, because there's a history behind a lot of these players. Then involving people like Tom King, making sure that we need to know administratively where we're at, and then from a coaching side, is this someone that can help us, and then it's making contact, and yeah, I think with certain players it's important if we can. Not every situation is the same, but if there's an opportunity where we can have someone experience the culture, the team, our players, how we do things, myself, share programming, how we see that player fitting into what we're doing. I think these are all the things that certainly a player wants to see and feel and hear, and just know that know that stuff so he can make an informed decision.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, Anthony. Thanks for doing this as always. You kind of alluded to it after the match the other night. Obviously, a number of guys didn't play in that game. How much squad rotation should we expect to see tomorrow? Thanks.
Yeah, good question. There's going to be a few changes. I think coming into camp, we had an eye on sort of pre-planned changes. I think one of the best things, or I say the best things, it's a luxury we have in windows like this is we have a very strong group. We have good depth, which allows us to be able to prepare for 2 games in a short time frame, and to be able to rotate, not wholesale changes, but to rotate in a way that we can at least get to the second game and have freshness in players, and freshness without losing quality. So for sure there'll be a few changes.
We'll go to Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Thank you, Michael. And hey, Anthony, I just want to ask about Eunice, just because a few minutes ago it was brought up that he's been with the program for almost exactly 2 years now, and obviously that was a big decision on his part, and it's easy to forget how young he is given all that he's kind of been through and how many big games he's played. When you look at Eunice in the process he's gone through to get through where he is today, how far has he come, and how far does he have left to go, and how nice is it to have someone like him as a quote unquote success story when it comes to this dual national thing that's always kind of going to be on the front of everyone's mind?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Firstly, he's such a good guy. Like every time from the moment he walks into camp, wherever you see him around, he's always got a smile on his face. He's just one of those people in every team that he's just a really, really good person. And I think since the very start, we've witnessed a lot of positive change from him. As a player, as a person, we've got to know him better. But he has, with the national team, he is now in a place where we're confident that he can deliver consistent performances, consistent high-level performances. We're really clear about the profile, the type of player he is, and like how we can use him, and in the type of games and the type of positions that he's best in. But I think the biggest thing is where his development's coming from. He's a consistent player, and then to answer the last part, I think there's way more improvement in him. I think he has a really big future.
We'll go to Stephen Gahn from the Washington Post.
Hi, Anthony. Thanks for your time. Wanted to ask you about Daryl. Obviously, the injury set him back in the build-up to World Cup. What, from a staff's point of view, how closely were you watching him, considering him in the months leading up to World Cup decisions? And then second part, where do you see him now, and how do you think he's evolved as a player?
Yeah, I would say, like, for me personally, I've always been a big DK fan ever since he was in MLS. I think he is someone, even way back in MLS, he possesses raw potential. He has special qualities that not a lot of players have in terms of physicality, in terms of his speed, in terms of just like you watch him and centre backs really don't like playing against him. And one thing I've noticed is, I think we noticed as a staff, is that his game is improving. He goes to Barnsley, they were down the bottom fighting relegation, he takes them up the other end of the table. Their manager then takes him to West Brom, unfortunately gets injured, and then he comes back again and he's doing really well. And so, a couple of us went over to see him play. We went to watch him and Trusty actually play against each other, and then BJ went over there and watched him play. And I think one thing we're seeing is his game is improving, his movement's improving. His movement in the box is improving. If I think about what he does now at West Brom to what he did in Orlando City, and no disrespect to Orlando City, I just think he's just a player that's just developed. It's very, very clear that he is working on it. The manager there is working on his game, or he's working on his game, and he is becoming a really, really good centre forward. And I think he's got, and again, I think he's one of those late developers. I think he's a late developer, and I think he's going to, as long as he keeps himself healthy and looks after his body and is sensible, I think he's someone that can be a really, really, dangerous centre forward for the programme.
We'll go to Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Anthony.
Hey, Jeff.
You've seen a lot of El Salvador in World Cup qualifying and now in the Nations League. And I was just wondering, over the course of that time, in what ways have they evolved? And in what ways do you think they've maybe sharpened up their game and become more effective on the field?
I think it is firstly down to the coach. I think the coach has done a great job with them. He is someone that when you watch his teams play against other teams, and then when you watch his games, the games against us, he is someone that has a very, very clear plan, always has a very, very clear plan of how he wants to play against teams and play against us. And he's not afraid to change things. We've gone into games where we're fully expecting for him to play a certain way, and he changes it. So he's a very, very good coach. I think that's the starting point. And then I think they're a team that they have a really good mentality in terms of just honest, aggressive team, work really hard, clearly, believe in what the coach has asked them to do, which is why in the past they've always been close games with us. They're always big games for them to play against us, but certainly I think the coach has done a great job with that team.
Next is Megan Swanwick from The Guardian.
Thank you, Michael. Anthony, it sounds like we'll see a bit of rotation in tomorrow's starting lineup that might have been a bit pre-planned, but I'm curious to know beyond the starting lineup if any individual performances against Grenada will impact who you sub and how you use them, or is that something that you also have a bit pre-planned based on who you want to get on the field?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's one where you do. I think international soccer is that way. It's different. This is the difference between club soccer, because you first of all you have all this time to plan and prepare, and then you're having players travel long distances from different parts of the world. And the last thing you want to do is have people travel across the world and, don't dress or don't see a minute on the field. Not that it's about making everyone happy, but it's important to make sure that we manage the group the right way and we give everyone a fair crack without losing the quality. So yeah, we were pre-planned in the first game. The other side of it is you only have a few days training, so there's not a huge amount players can do. Although decisions have been made in the past based upon a few training sessions, but there's not a lot of time in training. It's more about we get in, and then it's about organising the group that's starting to play the first game, and then normally it's then from there who performs. You have an idea about the second team, but that can change if players do exceptionally well in the first game, and then that can change. And then I think there's players that you always want to try and get on because they've done well in previous camps and they deserve a chance. So you're trying to find a way to get them into the game because they deserve it through what they've done.
Next will be Paul Tedorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Anthony.
Hey, Paul.
I know you when we spoke a while back, you talked about just kind of never picturing yourself in this moment, really, and then it's happened. I wonder, I know you had January camp, but this is the first camp with the full team. It was the first game in Grenada with the full team. Just what this experience has been like for you, how much you're kind of finding yourself during this camp and feeling comfortable, and how important it is to you to be able to get a result on Monday, considering the idea of a caretaker manager, but how important it is for this program to be in the semis and the finals in June. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Like I said, before, and I still see it the same way. I'm just taking it, almost a day at a time. Just want to show up every day, do a good job for the players, for the staff. I hope I'm doing that. I don't know if I am, but trying my best. I'm getting a thumbs up there. I don't know if he means it, but so yeah. No, listen. My objective is pretty clear. We want to make sure that for this camp, we put on a very good experience for the players, and the staff, and help. And the bottom line is help support them, be at their best, and win these two games. And then beyond that, if I'm asked to, we'll do the next camp. So we're looking at I'm looking at the short term, but I'm also very mindful and respectful of knowing that it's really important to also prepare long term for whoever it is, with regards to different things in programming and players and different things like that. So
we'll go to Sanjay Sujan Thakumar.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Anthony, for your time today. Two-part question. First part, you mentioned post-game the other night the decision to play with two center mids. So can you just discuss more what went into that decision? Was it because Tyler isn't in camp, or have you seen him and Weston playing in double pivot at Leeds, and was that maybe something you wanted to try anyway? And if it's that different than how you guys structured the midfield in the past. So the first part on the double pivot. Second part, I'm going to ask you to look ahead a little bit because in a recent presser, you discussed the balancing act, right, in terms of building rosters, looking ahead, and all the senior team programming that's coming up. There's also the U20 World Cup, right? So, and in January, you talked about how there's some guys in that pool who interest you as well. We saw guys like Cade, like Jalen. So my question is, are there any guys who could play the U20 World Cup who could also play at the Gold Cup? Or is that out of the question because of MLS clubs not releasing them and, guys needing a break and being a European preseason and all that? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. The first part, so I think for us is the style of play for us. We want to play attacking soccer. We want to have the ball. We want to control the game, and I think having a double pivot in there, it helps with close connections. We had the idea of it, us being able to attract the opposition midfield up to create space for players like Christian and Gio and Brendan, and then having our fullbacks join in. So, to help close connections with the centre backs, and getting our best players in the best possible positions where we can help them be successful. The challenge with the groups, it really is a challenge, and I think we have to be. I've had a few moments in this camp where I've kind of, there's been a lot of credit to the team, rightly so, and I feel for some of the other guys who are not here, because we obviously need to use them in April, and I'm sure I know they would have loved to have been here. But again, this is just this is how we have to balance this programming, because it's unique to, I think, most places in the world. It's very, very unique. We need to make sure that we have good relationships with the players. We're led by, even going into tomorrow's game, we're led by clubs. I say led, we're in partnership with clubs. We need to make sure we do the right thing in terms of loading and minutes for players who have just come back from injury. So there's all those different things that come in, and then obviously MLS still carrying on is difficult. So going into the summer, we are, if we can, if there are younger players that are available, outside of the World Cup period, we'll definitely look at that for sure, because there's some good young players that we know that can help us, and also it's good, in a few years' time, those guys getting experience for when it really matters.
Next is Kyle Bond.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Coach, for doing this. I appreciate it. Following up on what Paul was asking a bit ago, as you continue to sort of settle into your role and have those kind of day-to-day blinders, have you had any room in there to think about a desire to stick around long-term in this role, maybe throw your hat in the ring for that job long-term? Obviously, it's going to be a long process towards that, but have you thought about that at all, or had those conversations?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Carl, was that a dog or a cat on your
That was my cat, Joker.
Oh, your cat. I was looking, I'm like, I like your dog there, man. I was like, there's a cat. Yeah, that's nice, man. The answer to the question is no. I haven't thought about it. Just taking it a camp at a time, and it's a unique situation. I will just take it a day at a time. I explained before about I will do my best. I feel I have enough experience to know how to do the right thing now for these games, and also have one eye on to do what's right for the team for the long term. I feel I have the experience and capability to do that, but that's all I'm doing. I'm just doing my job. And I have truly just I say to myself every day, and I say to people, I laugh to people around me, and they say, it's just a day at a time. So we'll see how things play out.
2 more questions, and we'll continue with Enrique Hifel.
Thanks, Michael. This is Enrique Hifel here, RBS TV reporter in Brazil. Good afternoon, Coach. We know they're trying to deploy attacking football, but El Salvador is a stronger team than Grenada. Is possible USMNT adopt a more cautious system in 4-3-3 to face this rival? If so, could Johnny Cardoso start this match, as he's the most defensive-minded player in the midfield?
You like Johnny, yeah? You keep asking about Johnny. He's a good player, man. He's impressed us in this camp. Like I thought he did well when he came on the other day. I think he's done well in training. he's a really good guy. You know, it's tough for him because obviously the language barrier, but he's always got a smile on his face. He's a really good guy. Yeah, look, we'll see how we use him tomorrow. We have a good team. You know, we have a good team. I think it's important for us to be brave. I think it's important for us to be to play to our strengths, and I think that, you know, as you say, rightly so. I think it's important that we just get the balance right. But if you think about the profile of our team and our best players, you know, let's think about how we can get these guys in the best possible positions to be and do what they're good at. So that's sort of the filter for us.
Last question goes to Andrew Jones.
Thanks, MK. Hey, Hud, just want to ask you, since we had Weston show that fun personality of his, and as well as Alex showing his personality throughout the whole entire time he's been in camp, has there been anyone that surprised you with how entertaining of a personality that they have been around the team? And your whole thoughts on, since you've been having to watch MLS, how the Apple TV programming has gone in your mind? Thanks.
Yeah, is that a different picture again you got?
I'm gonna give you a new picture next time.
You need to change that picture. I love it though. It's good. Yeah, look, I don't know. I missed a lot. Honestly, I was distracted by your picture, so I didn't hear the last name you mentioned. Who did you mention the last player? Zendejas. So I thought it was, because I was going to mention Zendejas. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Who else has impressed us in this camp? Like, you know, look, as a character, you know, the guys you mentioned, you know, Wes, Alejandro, these guys they're the life of the team. And then just like, I don't know, man, we're blessed with just such a good group of people, you know, like, you know, in the mornings you're in it, you're bouncing around the hotel, you're bumping into players, you know, and you're out of training, you're having one-on-ones with players, and they're just like really, like, we're blessed with really good people who care a lot about the team, and they're all very close. And I'm trying to think of someone that probably stands out a little bit more. I think you nailed it with the ones you said. I mean, if there's loud noises, and laughter, is normally coming from those people, which is a good thing. We want more of that. And then, yes, sorry, Apple TV, it's been really good. It's been really good. Yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed it. It's easy to use. It's been. I really like it. It's been very, very good.
Ya que nos encontraste, no olvides suscribirte a nuestra página para disfrutar de las mejores jugadas de la Premier League, lo más destacado de las Chivas Rayadas del Guadalajara y todas las novedades del mundo del deporte. Te esperamos.